And I wanted to tell you guys also really quick, I'm going to dive in right here. I just sectioned out the little hairline, boop, 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 little baby hairline. And I'm going to start carving away with my razor. And I wanted to jump on here to tell you specifically about, hi, I see all of your beautiful names and faces. Specifically about, we're doing a huge discount on Renegade Royals just for the next 3 months. It's the summer of style. We've done this before. I grabbed the wrong comb. This is a wide tooth comb. Don't cut hair with a wide tooth comb unless you want absolutely no tension. So this is how I'm holding my razor. This is how I'm holding my comb when I'm combing the hair. But yeah, so basically 50% off for 3 months. Boom. And we'll kind of go over some of like the cool tones. But what do you guys want to see? What's some of the education you want to see? Drop it in the comments. Here I go with the flat of my blade. I'm going to come in at the nape. I don't want to go too short on her because I am going to eventually have this be an undercut. And I want to leave like little wispies kind of around the nape area and have it be really, really soft. So I am going to just come in with the flat of my blade and just create a nice, beautiful line that's like slightly beveled in. I'm not going, if I really wanted this to sit kind of how my bob sits, where it's like there's no graduation underneath and it kind of sits more really blunt in one length, I would go from the underneath and cut. So it's almost a little shorter underneath and a little longer on the outside, which it will get there, but I'm kind of doing it a little bit like softer, a very soft edge. So I'm allowing there to be like a little bit of wispiness kind of already on the ends. So turning to a little bit of the heel of my blade, so this part of my blade, so most of my blade is away from my client. And then on this side, kind of just that little nose part of my blade right there, where most of my blade is away from my client. That's the easiest way to know which part of your blade you should be using, is most of your blade away from your client's neck. That's kind of like the goal right there. Cool. So we're gonna keep just moving along in this fashion. But yeah, so let me scroll up and see if anybody's got any recommendations for classes that you want to see in the summer months. I very much want to see the monochromatic color trend just blowing up more and more. I'm really, really obsessed with like the gorgeous soft hair color that's coming out. I think it's like just so like Frenchy, like European, like East Coast vibes actually out here. Like just very natural hair, but not natural. You know, it takes a lot of work to make it glossy and healthy and like glassy, you know what I mean? And like just looking long and gorgeous. Like sometimes it's extensions, you know what I mean? Like there's so much work that goes into that, that beautiful, beautiful hair. But I'm just love that we're back to kind of beautiful hair. Because even for me, within short hair cutting, I just like beautiful hair, you know? Gorgeous, gorgeous hair. And even when I do like pastel tones, I think it's nice when there's like a softness to it. You guys are kind of quiet today. Go ahead and tell me. I see some of you requesting to go live with me. Are you serious about that? Don't tempt me with a good time. But yeah, so I think just for me, the monochromatic trend of just kind of that tone on tone is just so pretty. So I'm doing a honey blonde, like a smoky tobacco brunette, where it's kind of warm on the undertone and smoky on the surface. And then a copper blonde tonality specifically. Just hitting like all those points that are super in style right now. And then we're gonna pair that with a haircut that's all hidden layers inside a longer haircut. And then the lightning technique, which is actually that one right there that gives you this like monochromatic color look. Hi, I love your account. Aw, thank you. I see you in Sewickley and would love to have you at the salon route. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm upstairs. Sewickley is like the sweetest town ever, guys. They're throwing a little vent downstairs, so I see all these food trucks pulling up, and it's so fun to be a part of a small town, especially after being in Orange County in LA. It's like polar opposite vibes, but just so, so sweet and so good. So yeah, so I'm gonna just even, let's see, now we'll subsection this a little bit. I'm like, can I get away with, she doesn't have very, very dense hair. So when you're thinking about taking subsections and how big of sections you want to take, you really want to look at the hair that's here on the ends versus how thick of a section you're taking up here. Unless you're considering certain like shapes of the head, then you want to look up here more so. But when it comes to just, you know, razor cutting in general, you want to make sure that you have enough hair on the ends to create the texture that you want and all of that. It's still pretty see-through. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just incorporate all of that. I'm like talked myself into it, right? How's it going, everybody? Good to see you, good to see you. Yeah, it's so fun. I love Sewickley, love Pennsylvania. It's been like such a blessing being here on the East Coast, just to vibe it out and change things up. And I don't know, sometimes when you're stuck, you just gotta like make a big change. We did that and definitely don't feel stuck. We're like, whoa, holy crap. Okay, cool. So coming in at the middle, nothing's off limits, guys. You could just ask any questions or just chat with me. I don't want to be here alone. There's a lot of you on there. You're just a little quiet today. It's Friday. Okay, bringing this down in the center. And I'm going to start in the center working this way. So I'll use the kind of nose of my blade. Open and close, open and close, open and close. Making sure that this hand is very stationary. This hand is not moving. And then I kind of, other than just tilting towards me a little bit so that I have some room to get my blade in there. And then opening and closing, and you can see the negative effect in your hand of exactly what it is that you're cutting. Let me move her closer to you. Doop. Okay, so now we're gonna go in on this side right here. This is kind of that midsection. And we're gonna come in on the side, dropping my fingertips lower, holding my comb way far away from where I'm working, and kind of pulling my fingertips towards myself so that I preserve some of the lengths in the corners, just so that I have more to work with. This haircut that I'm doing is definitely in preparation for another haircut that I'm gonna do on her. So I'm really trying to make sure I don't go too short so that I don't have room to play later on. But this is like kind of, I would say, a very, very safe bob shape. Now working with the back part of my blade, opening up my fingertips just a little bit so I can get my blade in there. Yeah, this is, I would say, very popular length right now. And almost with like a blowout, I feel like I see a lot of that really glamorous kind of bobs happening where people are going full blowout with their bob. So you definitely have plenty of room, and I already know I did that side long. I kind of wanted to do that to make sure. I always go longer on one side and then go back and trim it, rather than so that I can like really dial it in to be like exactly balanced, because you can always take off hair, but you just can't put it back on. So combing it round to check the shape, and you can see that will bevel in really nicely, and she's gonna have this like really pretty, like kind of mid-neck, little lower than mid-neck bob. So cute. Hi everybody, I see all your waves. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna keep coming back and scrolling up and down and seeing if there's anything that you guys wanna ask or say. It's good to see you. So I'm taking down this next section, and we're just gonna work side to side. I think the biggest thing about the bob in general, and when you're working with shorter hair and specifically the one length bob, is control. So if you feel in control of your hands, and if you feel stable with both, because two of your hands are doing two different jobs, right? One is like the stability, the strength. It's mimicking the cutting line that you're gonna do. So if I take a slightly diagonal forward section on this side, and then I match it with a slightly diagonal section on the opposite side, basically you're creating like balance, 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 balance all the way throughout, with your sectioning, with where you're standing, with how you're holding your firm, like strong hand, right? And then that just allows your your cutting hand to be a little bit more fluid and to be a little bit more whimsy and artistic and have a little bit more fun. So the more balanced you are and the more structured you are with your sectioning, combing, making sure you're like combing, and then even your tension and being really consistent with your tension, the more you can just open that blade up and know you're going to get balance, right? Because you're kind of getting a rhythm. You kind of get your blade going before it even goes into the hair. And then when you feel that tension, it's basically just like driving, when you're kind of always adjusting a little bit of the wheel when you're driving, but you don't really notice it, right? You're always kind of just adjusting, even going down a straight lane. That's what razor cutting's like. When you feel the pushback of the hair on your razor blade, you're kind of just adjusting to make sure that it's like this very soft, silky, kind of like it just lets the hair go rather than a push. Because if you're pushing the hair this way, you're not sure what kind of line you're getting. You want to make sure that the tension is good and that you just adjust the angle of your razor so that it catches very much just so, right? Like that it catches just to where it's like whoop, butter, right? It's such a delicate, beautiful tool. So yeah, guys, starting Monday, 5 classes coming out in the next 3 months, and you get 50% off for those 3 months with Summer Style. Big deal. It's a big deal. It's like people are always asking when? Now. It's going on sale now. We do it just like kind of the same times throughout the year so you can expect when you can jump on and take advantage. Okay, cool. She's looking good, and we're just kind of like getting that really soft, feathery effect where it's every section is just slightly longer than the section before it. So now we're parting it off, and the craziest thing is when I do hands-on classes, the thing that I see people kind of struggle with the most is it's almost like just the feeling of the tools in your hands and getting overwhelmed by like all the little movements. So I would just say like practice just holding the comb firm, combing, parting the hair when you have the razor in your hand. And then if you don't feel confident in that, put the razor down, part the hair, pick it back up. Especially when you're working with clients, you know, you always want to be in control and using the razor when you can work very methodically if you're not used to it already, and very much like slowly and controlled, right? So kind of going through and getting used to holding the razor in your hand and getting used to the razor in your hand is like half the battle. The other half is really just your eye and knowing what you want to see and being confident in what you're executing is the right thing. So I do have her head tilted down just a bit because I know that what I want is for when this kind of comes back up, she doesn't have, you know, like that saggy diaper bottom is what I call it, like the bob where it just sags down in the back, but it has something that has a little bit of a curved edge. That's why I'm cutting it a little shorter, a little longer in the edges, because when she tilts her head back up, it'll be nice and square. So just all those little things, all the knowledge that you have, apply. More control and feels more in control, it's going to be easier to duplicate on the other side, right? Such like a fundamental haircut, to be honest with you, is just this one length bob. But I'm telling you, the more times you do it over and over and over and over, and I've seen a lot of bad ones. Oh boy, like kind of the biggest giveaway of any, like between, it kind of separates like the people who are learning from the people who have kind of figured it out, or the ones that just took the time to create the balance, is the bob. Like when you, who's with me on that? Come on. Like it's like when you're walking on the street and you see somebody walk by and they've got a bob haircut, you're immediately kind of like, boop, 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 like you can see if the shape is off, if the balance is off, if it's not moving the way that it's meant to, you know what I mean? It's just like you can see it from a mile away. It's the bob. The bob just will give you away right away, right? So don't discredit like a one length bob and really mastering the ability to get the right length and finesse and shape within it, right? I don't know. A lot of times I feel like a scissor is a great, is like such a great tool when it comes to the one length bob. But the reason I choose the razor is because I love that soft kind of like flirtiness, and I like when hair is able to just be hair. I like when hair is like able to move and be kind of free and happy, and even the wave pattern. So as I carve the hair, I'm releasing some of that wave pattern, and I'm kind of opening up somewhat of the ends, and it's giving it permission to move back and forth. So those wider, bigger strokes that I'm taking are just giving, like even going short to long here, it's gonna push that hair back, and that hair is gonna instantly want to move, right? It's not gonna be like stuck or feel like you need to flat iron it to style it, right? Or like force it into place. And you can absolutely get that same thing with the scissor, and depending on how you use the scissor, and you can loosen up the waves and make the hair feel like hair and all of that too. But I think that sometimes it's just a beautiful marriage when you're doing a strong shape with a really soft edge, right? Just something that like really flows and really soft. And then even when you do your big bouncy blowouts and things like that, I actually think it looks so gorge with a razor blade, because you get these soft little like flips and flicks, and just really like still maintaining all of the weight line, but it's just that little tasteful in the ends that's so good. So I'm a huge fan of the razor. So if you guys aren't like using the razor a lot, or you're scared, or you're nervous, or you just feel like, oh my God, like I'm gonna cut myself, there's no reason why you shouldn't start with this, like having a guard on. This is obviously a straight razor, so it's like very, very Sweeney Todd, right? It's very like dangerous, and for sure a straight razor. It's like a little bit scary to learn on. So just throw a guard on it. They have this exact same razor. You could actually put a guard on, and you could take it on and off, so you can be like really confident. Hi everybody, I see everybody. How you doing? Good to see you guys. Very cool. All right, just finishing up these last like few little sections of this one side, and then you just have to match it to the other side. So the problem with matching it to the other side is like, I think that when you're beginning out in kind of creating these shapes and just really trying to target like an even bob on both sides, the best thing you could do is kind of just work section by section. So take a section here, cut it. Section on the other side, cut it. And so forth. All the way up the head until you've achieved your final length and balance and look of the bob. Cool. So again, I'm just on here prepping my beautiful doll, dragging my fingers back further than what her hairline, further than what that is. I can see my guide on the underneath, if you can see that, right there. So I can see my guide, I'm maintaining my tension, I'm dragging it just past, and then each section that I go higher up in the head gets like a little bit looser and a little bit softer through the ends. So it'll be a little stronger and a little looser. Cool. Again, Monday, check back Monday. That's when everything launches. We're gonna do 5 classes on, this is the blonding technique. This is the after of the blonding technique. I'll give you guys a closer look at her. She's gorgeous. It's a monochromatic, so like the color, this is her raw, no like toning, nothing, and it's just gives you this like all over lighter effect. This is her before. There is some like gradients in the darker roots and then like the lighter ends. This was her before, that's her after. So she's all over like a different shade, and it takes like, it's a partial. it's basically a partial weave. But it's done in such a way that's like a massive time saver, but without being hokey and like taking huge sections and just being messy. It's like done really tastefully and beautifully, and you can kind of just use this technique absolutely every single day on every client, because then after you learn that technique in the Summer of Style, the 5 classes in the 3 months that I'm teaching, the other classes are all on getting that like honey blonde and then like a smoky brunette, and they're all like on detailed like beautiful toning classes on top of that same base. And then we're gonna do a really lived in long cut. So it'll be like hidden layers. So hidden long layers with a grown out fringe that's intentional, right? So it's like a fringe, but it's like grown out and connected through to the layers beautifully, and everything's hidden and like kind of just looks like you have the coolest haircut on the block, but did you even cut your hair? Like, when did you cut your hair? Probably 6 months ago, and it grew in so perfectly. That's the vibe. So it's definitely something I was really excited to, we painstakingly put this Summer of Style like campaign